Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to this month's installment of Ask Moses. My name is Moses Wiles, and I'm the landlord-tenant mediator for the city of Takoma Park. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, Patty Malin, licensing specialist. We're going to talk to you about maintenance requests and the complaint process. Patty, why don't we start with you explaining the annual inspection process?
Sure. Any licensed rental property in Takoma Park will have regular inspections. They may be annual, or if the property has a record of very good inspections, they may go on a biennial, every 2-year inspection schedule. The city contracts with the county of Montgomery County, to do the inspections for us. So you would be contacted by an inspector from Montgomery County who's going to come out. When these inspections happen, the landlord needs to give a 48-hour written notice to the tenants to expect that this inspection is going to happen and to make sure that the apartment, the living unit, is available to the inspector. The tenant doesn't have to be there, they just need to know that the inspector is going to come through. What the inspector is going to look for are code violations. That may be health and safety hazards. Are the smoke detectors working? Is there a carbon monoxide alarm, which is a new requirement for rental housing in Montgomery County, actually the whole state of Maryland for that matter. They're going to make sure everything works. Does the plumbing work? Does the stove work? Do the windows open to the outside so in a case of a fire you can get out safely? Those are the kinds of things that the county inspectors are going to look for. If you want to find out the results of the inspection, if you are the property manager, you'll hear from the inspector themselves. If they find things, they will note the violations and they will give you 30 days to fix the violations, come back out, make sure that you've done that. If you're the tenant and you want to see what happens, you can actually get on a public website because this is all public information. What you would do is Google the word e-property. The letter E and the word property all together is one word, and that gets you to the website. We'll post the direct link to that website as a comment to this video for easy reference. When that website comes up, you can just put in the address of your property and it will show actually the whole inspection history for that property from every inspection that's been done. If you live in a multi-unit building, you can actually see unit by unit what the inspectors found when they went through and did their inspection. But if things come up in between inspections, don't wait. You do not need to wait for the annual or biennial inspection to report anything. So Moses, why don't you tell us what the tenant responsibilities are for this kind of maintenance?
Okay, Patty. Section 6.16.040 of the City Code, Obligations of Tenants, notes that the tenant is basically responsible for keeping the unit clean, for the disposing of garbage and recycling items properly. And on the issue of locks, the tenant must obtain the landlord's prior written permission prior to installing a lock and must also give the landlord a copy of the new keys within 7 calendar days of the new lock being installed. The landlord is basically responsible for everything else, particularly including extermination for pests.
And that one does come up.
Yeah.
So what should a tenant do when something breaks or something goes wrong?
Well, the first thing they should do, Patty, is notify the landlord in writing. And what constitutes a writing these days of social media, we recommend using the old-fashioned letter. But if the tenant has regularly communicated with that landlord via email or social media, they can advise him or her of that issue within using those medium types. The landlord has 7 calendar days to basically respond to the problem that the tenant has notified them of.
And if they don't respond right away, it's probably a good idea to send us a copy.
It's always good to let us know what is going on. They can send us a carbon copy of the letter that they send to the landlord, notifying the landlord of the issue. So Patty, how do tenants file complaints with the county?
Yeah, if you as a tenant aren't getting a response from your landlord, they're not coming to fix the problems, you can go to those county inspectors with whom the city contracts with to say there's a code violation, there's a problem that my landlord's not fixing, please come out and take a look at that. And there's a couple of ways you can register these complaints and request an inspection. One is to call Montgomery County's 311 number, and the full number is 240-777 0311. That's going to be the call center for everything that you might need for Montgomery County. So when they answer that line, you want to say that you want to speak to code enforcement or you want to request an inspection for a rental housing unit, and they'll ask you what the nature of the complaint is. You can also go to the county's website. If you Google Montgomery County housing complaints, you'll get right to the website where there's a quick little form you can fill out. And then in either case, whether you call or you fill out this form, you'll get contacted back by the county. And the nice thing, either of these ways, there'll be a record. You'll get a receipt number, they'll log your call or this form. So there's a record of you filing this complaint. You can also, if it's a minor thing or if you have a quick question about whether you should file a complaint about it, you can always use Twitter. You can tweet to @311MC311 and they can get back to you that way. I wouldn't recommend that for something that you want to really have a written record of, especially if it's kind of a big deal problem. Again, we're going to link to these websites as comments to this video so you have that for reference.
So Patty, what happens when the inspector actually comes out to the rental unit?
Yeah, as the tenant, you'll be contacted directly by an inspector to set up a time when you can be there because you as the tenant have to be there. This is different than the annual or biennial inspections where the landlord can let the inspector in after you as the tenant have been given a proper notice. You as the tenant in this case are requesting the inspection, so you have to be there to let the inspector in. Once they arrive, you would show them what the problem is, and they will determine whether or not that is a code violation or something that the landlord does need to take care of. They will then write that up and notify the landlord in pretty much the same way they would any code violation they find when they do the regular inspections. They have a certain amount of time to rectify the situation, to make the repairs, to satisfy the problem, and if that doesn't happen, then the inspectors will write citations to the property owner, and that may include a fine or possibly a court date. So it's serious, and it's an important method you have. It's a good avenue you have to make sure things get fixed if you've already tried everything else. You can go to that same eProperty website that you can look at for regular inspections, and there will be a record of your complaint inspection as well, usually within about 48 hours of when they come out, so you can see what it is they wrote up. And you can also track there if their citation has been written and if the problem has been resolved according to the county.
Okay, Patty, thank you very much. We hope that this discussion has been helpful to you. Remember that you can find the links to the resources that we mentioned in the comments below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please type them in the comments section or email us at housing@tacomaparkmd.gov. Please tune in next month when we will talk about the city's emergency assistance program. Thank you very much.